Good morning. My name is Alex Pennington, and today I'm here with the Queen of Wine herself, Tara.
It's actually Tara.
Tara, I think I got that wrong before.
It's okay. I know it's impossible to know these things until you're actually talking. So it's not a big deal.
How are you doing this early morning?
How early is it? It's early for you, isn't
It
it?
is 5 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my God, you poor thing. That's so early. I'm so sorry. That's
Well,
terrible.
well, I like to do them early, so I have work at 8 o'clock, because
Yeah.
I'm a normal human being, and so I usually try to do it at 6, but like if I do it at 6, I'm kind of rushing because I have to
hmm
leave here at like 6:30, 6:45. So I'm like, you know what? Let's do it 5 o'clock.
Oh man.
I'll just drink
Have
some
you
extra coffee.
you seem so chipper already. I'm really impressed. That's like you're doing good for five.
Yeah, I woke up like 4:45 and I'm like, all right, let's do this.
It's good. You're a machine. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's it's amazing how little time there is in the day. And I have about an hour, I have an hour commute to work and about an hour and a half back.
Oh my
So
goodness.
I don't have a lot of time these days.
Wow, that is a lot of I've been working from home for so long now that that stuns me, you poor thing.
I miss those days of working from home. I might be able to do it twice a week pretty soon,
Oh, that'd be
but
nice.
yeah. So it's like yesterday I got home and I was supposed to, write, but I was like, I just need to sleep today. I just I passed out on my couch for like four
Oh,
hours, got
I don't
up and
blame
went to
you.
bed.
That's a lot. That's a
So
lot.
my first question for you is, how did you kind of blow up on social media? I mean,
Oh, that's a good question.
I think it's funny. You know how there's like websites or like
hmm
writers write that kind of reshare our stuff?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you and me are like the two that are consistently, but I've kind of been noticing, like, is there a third person in there? Occasionally you'll see like Paper Fury, but like kind of
Yeah.
just you and me are in the rotation.
Hey, I'm happy to be there with you. It's good. I think the I think it was in June of 2020. I had a tweet go properly viral, like e-news and Cracked and Bustle, and a
Oh
bunch of
wow.
people shared it, and that kind
Mhm.
of changed my trajectory, I guess, because before then I'd been more focused on what I would say the traditional writer social media, focus on sharing my work all the time and
Yeah.
quotes and things like that. And then once that happened, I was like, oh, well, okay, this will get me the broader audience. I'll go with that. So we've been pursuing that ever since.
I had one get shared by BuzzFeed. And yeah, that
Yeah,
that like got a lot of I got like 20,000 Twitter followers off that one.
that's awesome.
Like
Yeah.
even
I mean, it happens like that. That's in waves. So that's good.
one never mind. False alarm. I just know my computer my computer battery was flashing at me like no. Um perfect. Um so okay, do you how like much do you plan out your content? I know some people are like super like I need to have this all planned out.
I can't do that. So I tried to get into TweetDeck, Hootsuite, all those things
Oh
kind
yeah.
of because I know that I should do that. It would be better
Mhm.
time management wise, but I am just too I'm too controlling. I'm too
Exactly.
I'm too anal about these things. I have to feel like my finger is on the moment in the moment. So
Mhm.
I want to make my decisions as they come. So yeah,
I feel
I
like that's
wish that
something that makes it
I could
fun,
do.
isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I like that. I like being part of I feel like if I was planning things ahead of time, it would feel less like part of the conversation that's going on. So I want to respond to that. Now I do, like, some days I'll see something. I try to share just 3 times a day at the times when I know like people will be most online. And if I see something the day before and I've already shared a bunch, I might save that for later. And I do have like a whole, God, I have like 20 folders on my phone, I think, of different kinds of things I like to share, just in
Really?
case it's a slow day. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, or, I like to do like the dumps that are focused on specific like authors or
Mhm.
specific kinds of content. So I'll have folders in my phone filled with those so that I can see maybe I want to do an Poe one because it's Poe season. So I'll check out my folder and see what I haven't used recently, what I like, look for some new things to share.
I like your Jane Austen ones. And I haven't
I
even
like my
read.
Jane Austen ones.
I haven't even really read her books. She did Jane Eyre,
Yes.
right?
No. Oh
No.
my goodness.
I have
Oh man.
I have a leather-bound collection of her books, which I have not touched. In fact, I've actually gotten my mother leather-bound versions of her book for Christmas for like the last couple of years. But like I
Oh,
kind of know the character names. I'm
well,
learning
it's
the stories through your
if
memes.
if you are on like our social media, like the kind of like bookish writer
Mhm.
nerdily like social media, you kind of can't help but learn some of these things through osmosis. Like you're just there, and I'm gonna like. There's something that I haven't read that I see enough memes about it now, and I'm like, I think I got them. I can't remember what it was. I have
I
to think
don't know
about
who Darcy is, but I like him.
it. Darcy is the awkward penguin of all time. He's amazing.
My spirit animal. Gosh.
Yeah.
No, it's I like how you said you have 3 times a day you tweet. Like I feel like I
Mm.
just get spontaneous rants. I just
Yeah,
just
I mean,
throw it out
yeah.
there.
Now, to be fair, like if I when I do the time things, that's just on like Facebook and Instagram, like the meta suite
Mm.
of offerings, because they're the ones that really have the specific times you can see like when people are most active and that kind of thing. If I feel something on Twitter, I feel is like that. Like if you feel
Mm.
something that moment, you're like, oh, well, this is the moment. I got to share this now.
This is
So
it.
this is it.
Have
Yeah. And
you
then I
had a
can
lot
worry
of
about
success on Instagram with your tweets? Like I know, and something I'm kind of starting to do, and I know you do this and a lot of other people do. Um, is just sharing your tweets on Instagram, like screenshots.
yeah. Yeah. I forget. Oh crap. The okay, there is a writer. Let me remember her last name. I think it's Abby Jimenez. Jimenez. I'm probably saying that so wrong, and I'm
I
so
think I know who
sorry.
you're talking about.
Yeah, she was the first writer that I saw doing that, like, and like having a lot of really positive response from that,
Mhm.
like from her humor. And that's she was the one that I was first like, okay, well, I'm gonna start doing this
Mhm.
now and seeing if that works. And clearly it did. I mean, that's where from so
A
many
little
things
bit.
yeah, just a little bit. So yeah, that was I think that's a smart thing to do, because I
Mhm.
think if you're a writer, then even if you're just, these are like clever little like pithy things that you're writing, that is attesting
It's your
to
writing.
your writing. So it's a good way to grab people, especially the way that we we work now. If you share like full pieces on places, it's really hard to get people to be interested in those, especially if they
Um,
go. I know you and I have talked about this a lot before. Like if they go Facebook and Instagram, these places do not want you to go off of their platform. Like they are in
no.
competition with the rest of the internet,
Mhm.
essentially. So if you share something like to your website or some other link, then they're going to be like, oh, I'm not going to give that nearly the reach that you deserve. So
It's funny that they do that. I
yeah,
never,
it's a pain.
but you kind of like. 'Cause I mean, obviously, I've been spamming my link all over Facebook. I have no shame, but it works. Like that that's what I've honestly learned. It's like, yeah, I might be that annoying guy, but you're still clicking
Well,
the link.
I mean, honestly, that was like the biggest hurdle to me starting doing social media the way that I do, is that it's really, but for me, it's really hard to feel like I'm gonna annoy people. I'm gonna like
I
share
just
so much
embrace
stuff.
it.
I,
I
well, no,
just
I know that it seems like posting, I 3 times a day is not little, but like I don't post more than that. But even that, like, you just have to be really comfortable with kind of being awkward about
yeah,
pushing yourself forward.
you
Like you
do.
really have to embrace that. You really do. You're right.
I'm like
So,
driving to work and sending out like 8 tweets. Like, all
well, you
right,
got a
3
long
of these will
drive. I
do
mean,
good. I'll delete the others.
I don't blame you. That's a long commute.
It is long.
Ah, yeah, but I think, I mean, you're right. Like you need to embrace being willing to put yourself out there in ways that are uncomfortable. And I
Mhm.
think a lot of writers think, I mean, for good reason. I understand why you just want to focus like on your like big writing pieces, or
Yeah.
you would just want to focus on like your serious position as a writer. I totally get that urge. I went that urge like the first, I don't
Mhm.
know, 10 months that I was on social media doing writing stuff. But I think I realized that there is so much good writing out there. Like there's
Yeah.
so many good writers, it's ridiculous. And you really have to have something special, like putting you over the top to make you appealing to like a really broad audience. Or your stuff's just never going to get seen. Like
Yeah.
you can write the best story in the world, but if you don't have the reach to get the people's eyes on it, then it's kind of worthless, which is
Yeah.
terrible,
It's
because
true.
you don't want to pour your heart and soul into something and then it not get the admiration it deserves, the appreciation it deserves. But that's, and I know that you know the same thing. Like you just have to be willing to do whatever it takes to get there.
And something I've kind of talked about a lot on here is that I don't think people. I mean, obviously, if you put out a great book, people will buy it. You have a great cover, a great hook. That's awesome. But to an extent, people will buy your book not because they think it's a great book, but because they want to support you.
Yeah, no, that's entirely true. Yeah.
I've bought a lot of books personally, from self-published authors for that reason. I'm like, it might be awful, maybe, but it's like I want this person to succeed. And
Well, yeah, and I think that's part of like, I think that's part of being successful too in this community, is that writers are readers. Like
yeah,
writers are people buying books. So if
hmm
you are out there like supporting your fellow authors, you are doing, you're building like, you're kind of building an audience. Like
yeah.
you are building that. And I think that's great. I think it's wonderful to support each other like that.
I mean, that and a bunch of spite was why I originally made the Facebook group.
And a
Yeah,
bunch of spite.
it was because like what was I trying to promote? I was trying to promote my social media accounts. But I
Mhm,
kept seeing people complaining about them promoting their books and them getting taken down.
mhm.
And I was getting my social media stuff taken down. So I kind of went, well, you know what, guys? Screw all of you. I'll just make my
I'll
own
just make
group.
my
Yeah, so I did.
own.
You can promote yourself as much as you want here. I don't need
Yeah, and it works so well. I
it
mean, it's
did.
grown so much. Like,
I
when did
huh?
you even start the group?
I literally like I was on a hunting trip and I think I'd originally gotten banned from some groups for promoting my social media stuff. So when I got in the truck after the day and like, you know what, I'll just do it myself. And I just made like the cheapest, worst looking like cover for the group ever and just made a group.
Hey,
And
and it
then
worked.
it
It
worked.
definitely worked.
And even so, okay, so you know what the secret is to how I grew it? Speaking of annoying people, I just spam other groups with links to my group.
Yeah,
And no,
yeah.
like a couple of them will ban me for it, but most won't. And I do that like 16 times twice a day for like the last 2 years.
Well, I think that's something that a lot of people don't appreciate, that you
Mm,
and I understand is about how much groups allow you to reach other audiences.
Big.
And I mean, that's so much. I would say that's like 80% of where my following has come from, is from groups who
Mhm.
have gotten to know me, like from me sharing stuff in there or my stuff being shared in there. Like that's gold if you want to get like
Mhm.
followers. So you're right. I mean, that's the way to
Yeah.
grow things. Yeah, that absolutely is. And that's kind of this, that's the thing that like makes me uncomfortable, like sharing things into groups and like feeling like you're spamming. But man, if you want to have an audience, you got to
Mhm.
do it.
Well, and here's the thing that I think a lot of people don't think about is that, you know, the way like the metrics work and who's actually viewing your post. Let's say
Hmm.
I post right now and then I post 15 minutes later. It might be completely new people seeing this for the first time.
Yeah.
Like, so I mean, you might feel like you're spamming, but really you're not, because it's not like they're going to be seeing it twice.
And you can, like you said, that some groups would kick you out. Like
Yeah.
if people are like anxious about like that happening, just if people are listening and like, oh, I want to try this, groups generally have like the rules set up at the outset, and they will say, like, you can or can't share from your Facebook page,
Mhm.
or you can share only like twice a day, or you can share unlimited times, like go at
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
And so if someone is feeling anxious about like sharing their things into groups, um and potentially getting kicked out and not being prepared for that, because that might make someone anxious. You can
Yeah.
you can see the rules and just follow, say, okay, this is a good fit for what I'm trying to do, or this is not a good fit for what I'm trying to
Mhm.
do. So yeah, no
And
reason to
I
be.
think it's funny. I see I swear I see like just people posting screenshots of your stuff all the time.
Well, I mean, it's the same of you. I know, I see, I can't scroll like 2 minutes in my feed without seeing something from author Alexander
That just
Pennington,
happened though, like 2 weeks ago. So for like the last 2 years, I've had only 6,000 Facebook followers.
Hmm.
It literally, I just got lucky with one post, and it blew up to like 150,000 likes. And
Yeah.
then after that, everything else I put on there was gold. And
Yeah.
it's funny how like you just need the one post to grab
Yeah, to
people
push
attention.
you. Yeah, it definitely,
How many weird DMs do
I
you
mean,
get a
that's how
day?
social media works. Oh
Ho
my God.
like,
I honestly, this is terrible. I don't even check my messages anymore because they are so off. I don't know, like, I mean, I know we've talked about this before. Like
mm,
this, like Instagram, weirdly enough, I feel like Instagram does a better job of like
mhm.
filtering out like the super creepy stuff, because Facebook is just like, nope, free reign here. Like
Yeah,
anybody can literally say
yeah.
anything to you, and it's terrible. I had my, uh, a friend working for me like an hour a week, helping me like with Page, and she was just so horrified, like when she got into the messages that people would say. And there are, unfortunately, there are some really wonderful messages in there
Mhm.
too that I hate to miss. But honestly, like just opening up the
Mental
inbox,
health.
oh my God, yes. So I don't know if you've noticed, like Facebook has changed lately, that you can sometimes, like in your notifications on your page, they will show you like little bits of a message that might
Yeah,
be
yeah.
coming. So if it looks like it's something that's nice, I will try and click on it, that I see. But whew,
Mhm.
I don't want to go straight to the inbox anymore. It stresses
Yeah.
me out.
I get a well, I mean, so being the admin of the group, I get messages from everybody for everything. So I like have to check them because 'cause they'll be like,
Yeah.
that person did blah blah blah." But I get a lot of nice messages on there, which I like, but I
Mhm.
keep getting messages that are the same thing, saying, "Can you tell me more about yourself?" And it's at
I think
first I would be like, "Okay," but then it's like I just got 10 messages asking the same question.
I think
This
that
is weird.
Facebook is doing something on its own. I'm
Yeah.
And it has it, like when your page is being promoted or shared or something, like it sometimes offers like things for people to click on, like to interact with you, and they're
Oh,
like, "Can you tell me more about this?" Or
that's what that is.
uh, and I mean, I feel like one message I saw yesterday was just a woman saying no to me, and I was like, "Oh, I wonder what that's about. Like, why is this person saying no to me?" And I
No.
saw that like not me, I did not do this, but like the Facebook for some reason was like in her inbox saying like, do you want to learn more about like Tara Wine
Oh,
Queen? And maybe because she like likes something
yeah.
or whatever. And I feel so embarrassed by that. I'm like,
I
Facebook, I
know.
do not want this. Stop doing this. But
Stop
I
pushing
think
me.
yeah, and a lot of people I know have responded to like that kind of thing. Like Facebook will say suggested for you and like
Oh yeah.
share our posts or whatever because once you
Yep.
get your account big enough, like it's that way. Like my dudes, I am not trying to push my account
Yeah.
on you. Like
We're
I'm
not
so
doing this.
sorry. I swear. So
That
yeah.
explains a lot because I just thought like I had some weird bot messaging me from like
I
50 different
know.
accounts.
Well, I did too until like I realized that all of these messages, like there are a few different ones that are like a pattern. And then when I was promoting something intentionally one day, I saw that you could set it up to say some of those things. And I
Oh,
was like, you tricky people, you have been doing
you
this.
you sly
Yeah,
fox, Facebook.
I know. Yeah, for sure.
But no, it's just yeah, it's just funny. Ever since that happened, I've gotten like a bazillion messages, like all the same thing. But I
Yeah,
get some really nice ones, which I like reading those. I feel like that
yeah,
kind of makes it worth it. Like,
that
all right,
does.
one nice one, 20 creepy ones. This is a
Yeah,
good
and
ratio.
I don't know if it's like a girl versus guy running things, but
Yeah,
do you get like, I mean, do you get like the weird like sexual
I'll get some of those.
person? Oh, you do?
I will get a
That makes
couple.
me feel better.
Thank you. No.
Yeah, it's just weird. Oh, it's so weird.
Yeah, no, it's yeah,
Anyway,
you gotta block people.
yeah, I know.
But there's
I
so
just,
many of them.
there are, I can't believe how many. I mean, man, I believe that the world is like a good place and that people are generally good, but the internet keeps making me not want to
Tara,
keep
you're just over
believing.
there like you got like 100,000 Facebook followers. You're over there like calculating the percentage of weird
I
DMs.
know.
Like, this isn't looking good
See,
for you, world.
I think a lot of the problem is that I think and I know I could be wrong, but I think that like 99.9% of my followers are wonderful people, but
Yeah.
it's always like weird people who aren't following and like are getting the suggested for you or whatever,
Yeah.
or their friend is sharing it or whatever,
Mm,
and then they'll come on and like say the creepy and weird stuff. Because most
yeah.
of the time, especially like Instagram, you can see like immediately, oh, is this person following you? You have to do a little bit
Mm,
more work on Facebook. But
yeah.
like it's with Instagram, especially, like if I see somebody commenting or messaging something weird, it's almost always something it's like someone that doesn't actually like isn't one of my followers, isn't like one of my
Mm.
little nerdy groups. So that
They just
does make me
happen to
feel
see
like
you.
a little bit better.
Mm,
Either
um,
like I'm doing a decent job of keeping those people out, or they just don't like the writer bookish nerdy stuff I'm sharing. Either way, it's good.
is your following mostly male or female?
Female. It's
Me too.
80% uh female millennials
Yeah, that's
is
about what mine's at.
yeah. I mean, I think that
Go
that's
female millennials.
thanks guys. You're really like
Keeping us
pulling us up
alive.
here. And I think that that's the case with a lot of authors. I know David, I'm going to pronounce his name wrong. I feel terrible. I'm pronouncing all these wrong. David Garin. Garin? I don't even know. He's an Irish author who I really like, who's done a lot of work uh, telling people how to self-publish. I don't know if you've
Okay.
seen any of his stuff, but
I think I have.
uh, his following, like even though it it's just a writer's following, whatever, is mostly millennials as well, or
Male
females.
millennials. Okay.
Yeah, female millennials. So I feel like those are the people who are writing and most interested in writing. There are probably a lot of them doing like romance, fantasy, that kind of
Hmm.
thing. So makes sense. So those are our bread and butter, Alex. We have to be really good to that to that
That
group
and
of people.
people from Nigeria.
Yeah.
That's like
Yeah.
that's like that country is like following me.
On it's so bizarre. I can't remember. I think it's the Philippines or maybe
Philippines.
Egypt. But like one of you can see like,
Mhm.
where your followers are most located. And you would think maybe this hasn't been your experience, but you would think that like most of your followers, like, or the highest city percentage, whatever, would be like the one where you live. But mine is somewhere
Somewhere.
in Bangladesh, I think. And I mean, I think that's awesome. Whatever around the world. But I just remember like first reading that and I was like, you have got to be kidding me. Like that's so bizarre to me. But
I'm
more
just
power to them
imagining
for
you getting off a
being there.
plane there and walking through Bangladesh. Everyone be like, "Oh my gosh, look who it is! Look who it is, everybody!"
Yeah, basically. That's what's gonna happen. The same thing with you in Nigeria. It's gonna be awesome.
He's our king. So
Yes,
do
very
you
good.
have a preferred, like, of Facebook, of Instagram, of Twitter? Like, do you have a favorite?
Uh well, Facebook Facebook is like Facebook actually pays me, you know.
I need to
So
get into
I'm
that.
I'm favoriting it for that reason. Um,
I can see that. I can see why
but
that would be quite nice.
yeah. So I feel like that's where I put my most work in, especially like in the past couple of months. Um, but if I had to say like a place where I was just like happiest, I felt best, it would probably be Instagram because I feel like
Really?
that's like a really well, at least my Instagram is like a really positive, like
That's true.
friendly
Mhm.
place, and it doesn't have a lot of like the weird stuff that Facebook can kind of get into, I
The
guess.
weird DMs.
Yeah, yeah, or it does, it filter, that's probably it, really. It filters them out for me so I don't have like
They do have good
bad
filters on there
associations
now.
with them. Yeah, and you can actually filter stuff out now that it says like specific words, but man, you just never
Yeah,
know
that's
what people
helpful.
are gonna say.
Well, I know it's
But
like with
yeah.
you actually reply to comments.
Yes. Well, I think that that's really important. Um, and for a long time, I don't know if you've noticed the change in Facebook pages, but for a long time, like I couldn't even see a lot of comments on my page simply because Facebook like would not show them to me.
Oh
Like
yeah.
you would have so many that they'll just put most relevant, even to the
Yep.
author, which I think was like really absurd. But
Yeah.
once they made the transition to pages, it's been a lot easier to see
Mhm.
comments. And I mean, it's kind of what we were talking about earlier. Like, this is your audience. These are the people, like, if you don't want to be here connecting with them, then you shouldn't be here.
Starts
To
calling
me,
me
like,
out.
oh no,
You
no.
shouldn't be
I
here,
just mean
Alex.
like,
You
no. I mean, but you
need
are
to talk to
interacting
him.
with people. I know that you're interacting with these people. I see you like that kind of thing all the day, all time. But like
I probably
to me,
replied to as many comments as you can count on your hands. Bad. I keep I'm gonna get better at this.
well, and I think too, like a lot of the people um are longtime supporters of the
Mm,
page. And it's
yeah.
it's honestly like talking with your friends. Like if I see like certain names, like I want to talk to them
Mhm.
because that's my pal, that's my bud. I
Yeah.
want to like make sure that they're doing okay. Like if I don't see certain names over a period of time, I'm like, oh my God, I wonder
I
if
reply to
like
your
George.
comments.
Yes.
Well, I think, speaking of long-term followers, I think it's funny. So, like, Ashley Early.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's my oldest follower.
Oh.
Back in the day, whenever I was like a supernatural meme account, before I made the transition over to being a writer account.
I did not know you were a supernatural
That's
meme
how I
cat,
got
but
big.
that is wonderful.
Yeah, no, I did. I got like 20,000 off that, and then I went,
Oh,
I should do some
that's
writer
great.
stuff. But I
That's
just
funny.
deleted all those. Well, I only deleted that. I only did that like a couple months ago, though. So if
Oh,
you
they
would
were
like
still
scrolled
there,
through my
like in
account,
the back.
yeah, you'd see just like
Oh,
1,000 supernatural memes.
well, I'm sure they were wonderful. Who doesn't like
Quality.
supernatural? So
But
that's great.
no, I think it's funny though. Like, I'm so envious of people who can actually like take really good Instagram photos. Because I've
Yeah.
tried, and that's just
Oh,
I just don't like
no.
it. Like,
Yeah.
it's a lot of
It's,
work, and it's like,
but I think like that's like not your jam. That's
it's really
specifically
not.
you. That's not what you're selling anyway. Like, so
I
like
like Twitter.
you're
Just
not,
I like to talk, opposed to
yeah.
like, and like I know people who do like really good pictures, and I can write a good caption. I, what's funny is I knew someone. She would, man, she'd spend hours and days working on these captions. They're really good,
Man.
but she'd be like, how long did you work on yours? I'm like, be honest, like 5 minutes. I just typed whatever was on my head at that moment.
Yeah.
But it's just funny,
I
like some people.
actually,
Hmm?
yeah. One of the people that you mentioned earlier, Paper Fury, because
Yeah.
I like to share, other people's
Hmm.
things, and I mean I give them credit. I always tag people in it when I do, because a lot of the way that I have grown is from people sharing my stuff and
Hmm.
tagging me in it.
Yeah.
But Paper Fury actually messaged me and asked not to share her
Really?
stuff, which I mean, she's not the first person to do that, but that was
Really?
one thing that was, because she is so broadly shared, that I was really surprised
Yeah.
about that. But
Everywhere.
I mean, that's kind of like I mean, you never know, like, I guess what people
Huh.
want or don't want. And I
Wow.
don't know, like, if it was specifically like, I mean, I have no idea. I just said, "Oh my God, of course, like definitely, if
Yeah.
you are comfortable with that, I absolutely won't. I don't want to step on anyone's toes or
Hmm.
anything." But you as the author, as the writer, as the content creator, you do get to make that decision. I mean, if people don't want whatever, but
That's funny because I mean, I swear she's like the original,
she
like her
is
and
like she
James
shared so
Breakwell,
much.
but especially her, like
Yeah,
but I don't see her stuff. She's not as active as we are
yeah,
anymore. She's
yeah.
more like a tweet every couple of days kind of
And
person.
it might be like that. I know she has like her books
Yeah,
out, and like
she made
she's
it.
actively like working on that. So
Mhm.
maybe like she's like, okay, I don't want to do like I don't necessarily want my bread and butter to be like the that writing kind of stuff. So I don't know. But
Wow,
anyway, I just thought that was
that
interesting.
is interesting because yeah, she's like I mean, I'm
She
trying
is,
to
she's the
think of
OG. She totally is.
she's the original. Like, so I'll be
Yeah.
honest,
So
like her account, your account, and like two others. Whenever I first got on the Twitter, I was like looking to you guys to see how you did it. Like I was literally studying her tweets, like, okay, how
yeah,
does she do this?
make a case study of her.
I did, and I'm like, okay, certain words. Do you have keywords? I've asked other people this, but like certain keywords that if you put in this tweet, it'll probably do good.
I don't think that I have keywords. Um, Although I do have like a list of phrases. I guess I have a list of
Phrases.
phrases like in my notes app that I'm like, this might be something I want to bounce off of today. This is something I want to work around today, that kind of
That's
thing.
interesting.
What are your keywords? Are you going to tell me?
Yeah, anxiety, procrastination, introvert,
Yeah,
and yeah, those are the big three. Like if I
those
say
are,
something about
yeah.
those, really tells you a lot about my community. But like if I tweet about anxiety, I'm getting like 100 retweets. People are being like, "That's me. That's me." Yeah, avoiding writing. Everyone's like, "Yep, I can relate."
Now that I like think back, and I'm thinking about all the things that I've seen of yours and all the things I've shared over time. You're right. Like those
Yeah,
are your big, those
the,
are your big three. That is so
and
funny.
they always like that's my audience. They relate to that because they're on
An
Twitter, not writing
anxious
right now.
group of procrastinating introverts. That's
Yeah,
those are
who
your
have a
people.
lot of anxiety about their writing. Like I
Oh,
feel,
that's so funny.
but yeah, no, and I I think it is funny, like once you kind of dial it in, because I like to see, okay, what tweet worked, what tweet didn't work. You can
Right.
kind of get a feel for your audience.
Yeah, for sure. And I think something that like you do really well, and a lot of people have done this, is kind of doing different versions of the same tweet,
Yeah.
and sharing those like afresh so that they get like fresh
Hmm.
eyed, a fresh audience. And that's a great way to grow. Like if you know that something works, why why mess with it too much, you know?
And I'm just kind of lazy. That's where that also comes from. Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
will totally go through like, okay, what in July of 2019, what was I talking about? Listed good.
Listed. Okay, let's go with this again. That's good.
Yeah,
I mean, that
and
makes sense.
I might tweak it a little bit, but I think it's funny too how tweets with pictures probably do really good.
You are so good at that. Like you
I
have
have an app.
mastered that for sure. I
Do
think that you're definitely like the number one person for that.
so you need to get on a meme and
I have it. I actually have like the
yeah,
pro account for that, but I just do
oh, that's
not have
funny.
like the you're just the king of that, and I have to like let you be the king of that.
I discovered
So
that I don't know how I discovered that. It was some other it was the Raina Wrights. I don't think she's actually online anymore. But she's
yeah.
always doing those. And I always
Mm.
kept thinking, where is she getting these from? Is she and then I think I actually messaged her and she told me about this. I'm like, oh my goodness, you just opened up a whole new world for me.
You did. Yeah.
I think it's funny though that one that you did with the it's like the girl shouting at the guy. That went
Yeah, that
viral.
was funny.
Well, because like you jumped on that like right at the beginning,
Yes.
and you made me so nostalgic about this classic book fair. I miss that. I I remember back in the day, like seeing Twilight in the
Mhm.
'cause, back in the day when everything wasn't digital, you get like the
You got
little
the little flyers.
yeah, the flyer of all the books in it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember seeing Twilight. Nobody's gonna read that.
No one, not a
No,
one, not a single person
got my
is gonna pick
subscription to
that up.
Shonen Jump.
Oh, that is so funny. Yeah, that is one kind of thing that I talk about fairly regularly, is the Scholastic Book Fair, because I am super nostalgic for it. Those were the good
It was
days,
so much
man.
fun.
Yeah.
That and
And
Borders.
yeah, oh my God, Borders was like mecca for me when I was a kid. That
I
was that was the place I wanted to be.
right? We had
Yeah.
so whenever I would go to my grandparents, they had a place called Hastings, and
Oh.
it was just giant. It was okay. It was a movie and like game, like you could rent movies and video games,
Hmm.
but they also had like half the store just for books. Yeah, and
Ooh.
they'd have like also like kind of memorabilia stuff, and they had like a coffee shop. I'm like, this is like the perfect place.
This
Sadly
has
out of
got
business.
everything.
Yeah, it was
That's
perfect. I'm like,
wonderful.
who was genius? What was your bookstore of choice growing up? Or
It was
like
actually,
even oh sorry,
oh no, no, it was actually Borders. That was
was
the only
Borders.
one like that was near to us. Um, really. And it was the first bookstore that ever like had sold like any kind of extra cool things. I get
Hmm,
like obviously I always have loved like bookstores proper, but Borders was the first place that I saw that had like all the nerd stuff as well, like the
yes.
fandom things that I
Mhm.
was into, which I don't think that they do any. I mean, I
They
don't think
don't
stores
really.
in general, like Barnes and Noble and those people, Books a Million, they've kind of like given up on that side of things. But I
They give up
loved
on the
it. I was
fandoms.
like, oh my God, these are like my people. If
Hmm.
you're a fandom person, then we're gonna be friends. So I really liked that they had books and like the extra stuff that I liked
Hmm.
there. So that was
I
good.
it's funny. Speaking of which, I'm in Washington, in Buckley, a little small town in the middle of nowhere. And forever I was always like, man, I wish we had a bookstore around here. And after 3 years of living here, I discovered there's one like 10 miles away from me.
Oh, really? Like a little
Yeah, just like a
like
mom and
homey
pop
one?
one.
Oh, that's
Yeah, and
awesome.
I really liked it. And I bought a lot of books from them because they're also cheap. They were one of the half price ones.
Oh, that's nice.
But like I think it's funny, like just how cozy bookstores are. Like I mean,
Oh
I know you can
yeah.
just get it online and stuff, but it's like, but you need the ambiance.
It feels so good to go into a bookstore. Like it just feels like home. Like
Hmm.
especially like mom and pop ones like that, I think sometimes can have like such, especially if like the person that owns it or is working it loves books and loves talking about books like the
Yeah.
way that you do. That can be a really special experience, but there is definitely something to the ambiance of bookstores proper.
I don't feel like Barnes and Nobles quite has that though. I mean, okay, they
No,
do, but they're so
they
expensive.
they have a different kind of like,
Yeah.
and I don't, things have changed so much like in publishing over the years. Like I
Mhm.
remember when Barnes and Noble were like the bad guys. Like
Yeah.
if you were shopping at Barnes and Noble, like kind of like, do you remember the movie You've Got Mail? Like it's so old.
Yeah.
But like the bad guy, the villain in that was like a guy who owned basically like a bookstore like Barnes and Noble, but now they're and I don't know, maybe a lot of people don't know this, but like Barnes and Noble, the bookstores like that are really, 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 really important for even small
Mhm.
bookstores to keep going, because people don't like, the people that are producing books don't want to make physical copies because they're
Nope.
not as expensive. I mean, they make a lot more money off digital copies. And so like having places like Barnes and Noble is kind of essential to keeping smaller bookstores open now, which is so bizarre and weird the way that things like that work.
I was actually just talking to Mark Gottlieb, the literary agent, the other
Mm,
week,
yeah,
and he talked about that. And
yeah,
he was watching a movie, and yeah, he's like, in this movie, it was about like it was some rom com, and the girl, she was like a bookstore owner competing with the Barnes
yeah.
and Noble, and he like, but
Hmm.
now Barnes and Noble, there's the small bookstore at Amazon. It's the
Yeah.
evil corporate. Like we've kind of switched teams a little bit here.
We have. It's so weird. But I mean, I think that everything has its place.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm here for it. I'm here for bookstores of all kinds.
Mhm.
Not going to complain about them.
But I think it's I like Amazon. I like
Mm-hmm.
certain things about Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on their self publishing? Or because you're gonna be an author one day.
Yeah,
So
I think it's great. Like for so many
mhm,
people, it has opened up publishing in a way that otherwise wouldn't have been accessible to them,
mhm,
just because they didn't live in the right place or have like the right contacts or whatever. But so many people have found success with that, but not even like the more historical version of success. I think a lot of people have found like their audience, which is what you
mhm,
really want as an author, if you can find like people who are really passionate about your work. And I know that these days so much of what you do when you're published traditionally is promoting yourself,
yeah,
is that kind of thing. And a lot of people now feel like, well, if I'm going to have to do all this work for myself anyway, when I get like
mhm,
traditionally published, why don't I just go ahead and
yeah,
publish it myself? Because traditional publishing can take like a year to two to get your book out.
take a while.
It can take so long. And you are sharing everything that you make with, a solid group of people. Like you have a lot of people you need to pay, you know, but if you self-publish, you get a lot of money out of that. So I think that
Yeah,
it has value for a lot of people. Um, and I'm here for all of them. Way to go. Well done.
I
So,
I know I take a lot of mixed stances at self publishing. I feel like I'm
mhm.
like because I tweet about self publishing in a favorable light, but like it's one of those things where you have to commit to it. And I don't feel like a lot
Yeah.
of people want to do that. Like,
I yeah.
because like you gotta it's not if you do it the free route, you're probably not gonna be successful. That's kind of what I've
Right.
learned. you got to buy an editor, you got to buy a nice cover artist and all that kind of stuff. And the only kind of downside I see of self-publishing is that you can do it instantly. There's no one checking you, right? And
Yeah.
I can literally write 10 words and throw it out there and have a book.
Mhm.
And I just think like getting rejected by agents and publishers, that's kind of part of what makes you grow as a writer. Like if having someone say, "Hey, this isn't good enough," hopefully should be kind of pushing you to make it better. Even
Right.
though it
I
sucks.
totally agree.
But you don't get
I
that with self-publishing.
Yeah, it definitely there is a wide range of self-publishing of books that are being put out by self-publishers. Like you do, if you want it to be good, you really do have to commit to having like a proper editor and
Mhm.
proofreaders, beta readers, and the cover art. I mean, that's cover art
Yeah,
is so important. And I feel like
so
so many
important.
people don't just don't understand like how much that's going to make or break like their ability to sell
Yeah.
anything. Um, so I think it's with anything that you want to do well, like you really need to research, you really need to see what other people who are already successful
Mhm.
have done to get where they are, and then figure out how you're going to make that work for your specific book. I mean,
I've
you've
been
really got to do
promoting
the work.
oh, sorry. I've been promoting her name's Arabella Federico. She's had a book come out.
Hmm.
And like that's one of the things she concentrated on. Like she put the money forward for a really good cover artist. And it
Yeah.
looks like a traditional cover art, but it's like that's I feel like that's what people expectations are. Like we're all
Yeah.
expecting the traditionally published covers. And so it's like
Well,
if you slump, you're gonna really stand out in a bad way.
no, at this point, like y- if you are going to go into self-publishing and not understand that you don't need a
Mhm.
good cover, like you're not going to make sales because there is
Yeah.
such a huge number of people every day putting out new books that do have excellent covers. Like why
Every
would someone
day.
choose yours when they could pick 100 others like
Yeah.
that day? And
Isn't it amazing how many books are being like published every day on there?
oh
Good
my
and
God, it's
terrifying.
stunning.
Like,
Stunning. Like so many people. Oh, it's yeah, it's a
are you
big
because
number.
you're a writer, are you going to go the traditional or the self-published route?
Well, I'm gonna go the traditional
Um,
probably. Um, and that's to do with a lot of things. Like self-publishing is not a good fit for certain genres. Like self-publishing is great for fantasy and romance. They've got a really broad audience there. Probably what I will be doing is like literary fiction or things like that that don't have um, it just doesn't have the people there to
yeah.
buy the books. So it wouldn't make sense a lot. And two, I'm really lucky that like, I do have a really supportive, big, wonderful following. Um, and I also have like Facebook kind of bankrolling me. So I feel like I have the time and the ability to wait to traditionally publish like
Mhm.
the way that I want.
That's kind of like how I think about because I'm one of these days wanting to go the traditionally published route too. And it's like you're with every day that goes by, you're only getting bigger. It's like the
Yeah,
probability is only going up for us.
right. And that's I mean, I think that we've talked about this too. It kind of almost makes me like anxious to even
Yeah.
start because like I'll think, what if I would have waited like six
Yeah.
months and then had like 1 million
A
followers? Like, and
million.
I could have like really missed like the boat on that.
Mhm.
And and so I just want to wait until it's absolutely like the right time. We'll see when that is. I don't know, like, so you specifically, um, have you ever written any short stories or things like that?
I have. I've done a couple
And
short
like
stories.
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So a lot of that's really all that I wrote.
Oh,
Um,
really?
the first so I was like, I always loved writing growing up. Um,
Mhm.
But then after college, I was like, okay, well, I have a family, like I need to
Mhm.
focus on these things, and writing is like a dream, it's not
Yeah.
something that I need to be like worried about right now. And then in like 2018, I think my mom got diagnosed with like stage 4
Oh.
colon cancer. She's fine. She's good
Oh,
now.
good, good. Happy
She's good
ending.
now.
Happy ending.
But yes, definitely. But it was such like a wake up call that like, man, if I don't do this now, like when
You
am I
don't
going to
know.
do stuff? Like
Yeah.
I've got to get around to this. So 2018 is like really when I started writing again.
Mhm.
I mean, I hadn't for a really long time, and I got like 8 things published that year, I think.
Ooh.
And they were all like short pieces. Um, so that was that was when I was kind of doing like the old school writer social media stuff. That's when I started that page and was like just sharing things like that.
Yeah.
And then when it's actually, this is terrible, but I kind of owe like my following and everything to the pandemic
Thank you,
because
COVID.
I it's terrible. I feel terrible saying that, but like it I couldn't write, like I couldn't
Yeah.
like produce anything, and I was like, okay, well if I'm not able to write any stories right now or whatever, then I'll do this other part of being a writer, which I think is important, which is growing your following. And that's kind of like where we talked. That's exactly like
Mhm.
when things started to go viral for me. And like when I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll just work on this now for a while. I'll focus. If I can't
Let's
write,
do
then I'll
this.
just like
Yeah.
grow this. And it's really worked out well. So that's good. That's good.
It's like a too big to fail kind of thing. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like if you have millions or I mean not but hundreds of thousands of followers or however many, it's like people are gonna want to work with you.
Right. And I mean, even like even really established writers, like their their publishers, their agents, those people want them to like
Yeah.
have an active relationship with their audience. So
Hmm.
you might as well go ahead and build it. Like even
Yeah.
if you don't like have whatever isn't ready yet. Like it's only going to help you and put you in a better position if you do that.
I
So
mean, it's like if 1% of your following or even half a percentage buys your book, that's a lot of copies.
it is. And I did you see, I'm sure like you have because you're so on Twitter, but like where it was a big
Yes.
conversation like 2 weeks ago about how few books are being sold.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, and just like you said,
That's
if like
terrifying.
1%, if 1% of our audiences bought books, they would already have, been
Yeah.
way over that number. Like they're
We're
already
doing
like,
great.
I know. So I think it's really, I think we're doing okay, Alex.
Did I ever tell you a story of how I ghosted Random House for like months?
No, what did you do?
So a couple pre-COVID back in the day, I'd gotten this Instagram message from somebody. But it's in like your like because that you don't follow each other, so it puts in that inbox.
Yeah.
It was from Random House, and I saw that and I went, the heck is a Random House, whatever. And so I ditched it for like a couple of months, and I'm reading some book, and I look at the cover and I'm like Random House, Random House. I've heard of that, and I go look at my DMs, and they were one. Yeah, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And I
Oh,
got signed up on some influencer program to get free books.
oh, that is so funny.
But it was just funny, yeah. They did like 8 to 10 hard copies of new
That's
books,
awesome. Do
to which
you
I'd then go and sell to half price books and make a profit. But I felt so bad. I'm like, I swear, please don't hate me.
is that so? I think that's something that people in our position can really take advantage of too, are like the influencer programs. I don't know if you've had like this experience, but I have gotten so much free stuff
I have
and so
not.
many like
They
like
like you
I'm
more than me, I feel like.
oh no.
Facebook's like, Tara, do you want some money? Do you want some money, Tara?
I
Here you
do.
go.
Thank you. I'll absolutely take that. But I am an Amazon influencer, a Libro FM. Do you know what that is?
Uh-uh.
it's like Audible's competitor, basically. They
Nice.
which Audible is owned by Amazon, so like whatever. But Libro FM is like the indie bookstore,
Oh,
audiobook people, and I get free books from them every month. And then bookshop.org, it's like, I don't know if you've heard of it or had any
I think I
experience with it.
have.
It's like, it's kind of like Amazon, except it's it's an indie book store connector. I mean that it's like Amazon, and that it has like the kind
Mhm.
of the breadth that Amazon does.
Yeah.
And you buy through bookshop.org, but the money actually goes to your indie bookstore of choice. Like,
Oh, that's
so they
cool.
get a cut of the money, which is a good way to keep,
Yeah.
like, little shops open.
Hmm.
And
Oh,
then Macy's sent me a bunch of wine, because Macy's has started making wine now.
you are the wine queen.
I know, which is hilarious because that's just my name.
Yeah.
But
What are we gonna start seeing all the wine photos on your
I
Instagram?
know, I know, I know. People see my name and I'm sure they're like, "Oh my God, that's like a wine mom. She's just drunk all the time doing this stuff." But I swear that's just my name. It's not a big deal.
That's
But
hilarious. Though you're getting
yeah,
wine from Macy's.
I know
That's
I know.
awesome.
It's just weird and funny, but and like just different, I mean, just so many weird little different things, like literary perfumes and uh book marks and items. And
I have got
I,
nothing
oh my God,
from
Alex,
anyone.
you need to take advantage of this stuff.
Send me your free things, people. I would love bookmarks. I'd like anything. Have
Yeah.
the only thing that I think that I've really benefited from is being able to reach out to like kind of famous people.
Yeah.
Like I I wasn't able to get him on here for an interview because he had a lot of stuff going on. But like John Gwynn, do you know who that is?
No, who's that?
He's the author of oh my gosh. Oh, it's like he's a big fantasy author. He was like book of the year. Um
Oh.
oh my gosh, this is going to drive me crazy. John, I do know your books. I have read them. John Gwynn. Like The Shadow of the Gods, Malice,
Okay.
Valor. He big of fancy author, but like he replied to
Mhm.
me. I messaged him, and just like there's a couple like agents and stuff, and being able to just I pitch my following first always.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah,
this
for
is why you
sure.
should speak to me. I have more followers than you.
It is,
But like
that's one thing that's funny, is like a lot of these really well renowned and really widely read authors don't have
they
a
don't.
huge following or a big
No.
following even. So that is something we can definitely leverage, like, which is nice. I mean, you want to
Mhm.
be having conversations with those people. You want to be like in the same room as them, able to learn from them and
Mhm.
grow from them and that kind of thing.
I want to
So
become the writing version of Joe Rogan. That's like I like interview. I mean, I like doing personal videos. And I
yeah.
actually I spent like $1,800 on a camera. Do you know who
Wow.
Daniel Green is?
No.
He's a booktuber.
Um,
And I've literally been listening to this man. He had like 10K followers. Um, and like now he has like 800,000. He does fantasy news. He blew up.
mhm.
And like so basically I just bought all the gears that he had.
That's awesome.
And so I spent like this microphone was like 400.
Oh my
I invested.
gosh.
I did. Well,
I
because like with my
invested.
following, it's like if I do this right, maybe something will
Right.
happen.
Well, and I
Um,
mean, this is something that we've talked about. Like, I think video, I think that is where like you're gonna make your money, like,
yeah.
is from that, because it's so, you are tapped into such a wider audience on
Mhm.
that kind of thing. So I think it's great. I think you should be posting like TikToks and Reels every day, Alex.
I have not gotten on the TikTok. I don't know what I talk about. I don't know. Maybe I'd like it. Maybe that'd be like
Yeah.
my thing. I can't tell.
Yeah.
I'm like, should I do that? I'll just read my tweets. Um, I'll just
Yeah.
awkwardly read them. But
Yeah.
I like interviewing people because like I don't have to like whenever I do a video, I have to like think of everything I'm going to say and like
Yeah.
hope I don't get halfway through the video and just go like, where are they going with this? Like you're doing half the work for me, Tara. This is great.
Yes, it is good.
um, But no video, it was funny. I had a big jaw surgery a couple months ago. And that was one thing I said, like, after I had the surgery, I'm like, okay, I gotta get on YouTube. I got a new face. New face, new me. Let's get it on the video.
That's great.
But no, I don't know. I never saw I would blow up like this. It's funny, like, I'll have friends who see my stuff, or I'll even have like family members who will sometimes just randomly send me a tweet or something, be like, "Is this you?"
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Like, did you ever expect yourself to blow up?
No,
Like, isn't it
no, I
isn't
definitely
it
did
kind
not
of
think
funny to
it
think back? Like,
that.
I had no idea this would happen.
Yeah, it was totally unexpected. Like if I had found, I mean, I had intended, like when my mom got sick and I started this, I was like,
Mhm.
okay, I'm going to be a writer and I'm going to be successful. But in my head, this was not the path that
Yeah.
the success would have taken. But hey, I'm here for it. I'm grateful for it. Like, and
You
so
know,
it's good.
I think it's funny 'cause I do a lot of like motivational tweets too.
Yeah.
And like I do those like I started off like I'd always read. It can sound really sad, but like whenever I first started writing, I was not very good at this. Surprise. And so like I'd look up motivational quotes to like keep myself motivated,
Yeah.
and that's when I was like, well, maybe I could say some stuff like that and help some other people. And that's kind of how
Like
that started. Like I'm just like tweeting it to myself to read. Like you better believe it.
I love that though. I mean, like you need that. You need that kind of
You
positive
really do, because it's
encouragement. So you are
writing is
doing an
very
important service.
difficult.
It is. And you're
And
helping not only yourself, other people obviously are, it's resonating with them. So you're
it's
doing
funny, I was actually telling someone, they messaged me and they weren't weird. But she messaged me and she was talking about how like she doesn't think she's a good writer because she's had to like rewrite her story so many times. To which my reply was, well, let me tell you a story. And I told her like, so I had my manuscript. I thought it was good to publish, good to go. And I gave it to my beta reader. I believe you were the first. No, you were the second beta reader. The first one was like, you need to do all these changes. This is not great. And I'm like, okay, so I made all these changes. I'm like, now I'm feeling good about this. And I gave it to my second beta reader, you, and you were like, you need to make all these changes, which were right. And I'm like, okay, now I just need to do this. And then I gave it to my editor, Ashley. She's like, you need to make all these changes. And like, and I'm currently still making said changes. I'm like, so it gets better, but it's like
you
that's literally what growth is about as a writer. It's
Oh
like
my God, you're
that.
so right. Like, and I think like even even that number of like change that you're talking about there, I mean 10 times, like a dozen times, like
Mhm.
going over the same story and making it right, I think is totally normal and
Yeah.
okay and good. Like I would not stress about that at all because you over time you grow over like your
Mhm.
ideas can change, your beta readers can inform stuff, your editors can inform like things you need to
Yeah.
make. I would not worry about like having to change things at all. I mean, and even in like tweets and things that we've shared, like we know like the
Yeah.
first draft is like miles
Awful.
from where your final draft is going to be, and that's okay.
I think, what I think is kind of the issue is that, when you're in high school and college, if you go to college, you do a lot of writing, right?
Hmm.
But you're doing essays usually.
Hmm.
And so, but because you've done so many, it's like you have this expectation that you know how to tell a story, you know how to write. And so
Hmm.
like you might be very good grammatically and be able to do a good essay, but telling a story is a whole different beast. And like
Oh, worlds
Ashley,
apart.
after working with her, she gave me all these books on structure, and
Hmm.
I just flat out didn't know stuff. And I just literally didn't, and I don't think a lot of people do because it's like unless you read it, you're just not gonna know, and there's no way you could
Right.
really know some of these things. And though that's kind of where I think writers they they think they're not doing good or they're not good, but it's like no, you just have never done this before.
No,
It's
it's
like
part of
trying
the
to play the
process.
piano without ever learning to play the piano.
Right. And I mean, I think that growth is so important. And that's another reason, like when, and I know that you know this, when, uh, I couldn't write, I decided to enroll in an MFA program, like
Yeah.
just to get like myself grow. Like if I can't like produce on my own right now, like I will learn stuff, and by learning stuff, I will get better, and get back into
Mhm.
it. So I think that kind of growth is just important, and I don't even think it's like necessarily at the beginning, like you're learning just to do the basics. Like I think the
Mhm.
growth is for your lifetime.
Yeah.
For your lifetime, you're going to be creating stuff and like wanting I look back at like the things that I had like published in different like magazines and websites like 2 years ago, and I'm like, oh, cringe, cringe. It's just awful, which is funny because I mean, obviously, if they were picked up like by these these places, like somebody thought they were
Somebody thought they're
worth
great.
reading. But like you're just going to keep growing, you're just going to keep getting better, and as you keep getting better, you're going to keep looking back and going, oh god,
Do
why
you think
why didn't I know all that stuff now?
do you think an MFA is worth it?
I absolutely do. I'm and I mean, wait, let me okay. So I don't know that an MFA is worth it like for jobs. I don't know. Like if you're getting an MFA and you're like, I'm gonna use this to have some kind of job, I don't know that that's worth it. I think
Yeah.
that if you are like, if you are getting an MFA because you want to become a better writer, then I
Yeah.
like 100%. I'm sold. I will sell you on it. I think
Mhm.
it's like so worthwhile. You it's so much that you need, like so much feedback that you need, so much reading that like it's like someone handing you all those books that Ashley did for you,
Yeah.
and then like just going through them like chapter by chapter and like showing you how to apply all of that stuff. Like I don't think that you can under or you can't overstate like how important that is, like, and how much that can do for you as a writer. So if you're a writer and you and if you're considering an MFA like because you want to be a better writer, then oh yes, 100% go for that. Like
That's
I
something I've considered. I have a master's degree in accounting.
hmm.
Um, which is like the opposite of writing. It is. But once Joe Biden clears away my debt, I might, I might go
You can
jump in a
go
little.
back to school.
I've
I
thought about that. Like, I might
I
have
mean,
a bad
honestly,
idea.
like I think that you would be like I think that you would love it. I think you would love it
Yeah.
because like you you just grow so much and you get
Mhm.
to be around people who all they want to do is like write. All they
Yeah.
want to do is write and get better at writing. And
That'd
so
be so
like
much fun.
it is out. Okay, you have to do this now. I am
I'd
telling
have
you.
to do it though. While I'd have to find like an online option.
Yeah, well, I mean that's what I'm doing. And
Okay,
I
where are
think
you
that
doing yours through?
through Bay Path
Bay
University in
Path.
it's in Boston located. Well, it's
Okay,
up there around Boston. But I've just loved it so much.
might
I've
check that
loved
out.
my professors, and it's a really cheap program
What's
comparatively,
it called?
like Bay Path,
Bay Path.
Bay Path. Um, and I'm so grateful for it. I definitely think people who are interested in writing can benefit from that kind of thing.
I'm googling it right now. I'm curious how much is the tuition?
Oh God, Alex, I can't remember. It's like 2,500 a class, maybe.
25 a class. How many years is the program?
Well, it just depends on like how like you can do as much or as little
Yeah.
as you want, that kind of thing. It's like 30 hours worth, and each class is like
Oh, here it is.
okay, sorry.
40 grand. That's not terrible. Well, actually, no, it's only like 20 grand. Certain places.
Yeah, you
That's
can
not bad.
do it. It's not terrible.
It's not terrible. I mean, honestly, comparatively, it's like, because like so my master's degree I actually got through my university, UW, but we had like a special kind of thing for it because there's a lot of
Mhm.
accounting majors, so it was only like 18 grand.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it was a 1 year program.
Oh my God, that's
Yeah,
really nice.
so I just did that during COVID, all online.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I
besides
think
just
that's funny.
yeah, go COVID.
It's awful. I feel terrible like saying that, but like it did like change. It definitely changed the trajectory of things. Like
Isn't it
for me
funny how it
personally.
does that though? Like I think back like whenever about to graduate with my BA, like man, I thought I was good to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So
it's funny
weird.
how life can throw you little curveballs. You think, oh
Oh
man,
my
this sucks.
God.
But it's like
Yeah, for
this is like
sure.
your breakout moment or like just a big life changing trajectory.
Yeah. That was yeah. Yeah, for sure.
But so you're writing a sci-fi book, huh?
Yes. Yes. Even though I'm not really active with it right now because
Mm,
I'm working on my thesis stuff, but yeah, that's my big project. So
that's so awesome. I can't wait to be ignoring Random House whenever they offer to send it to me
to
for
give
free.
it to you.
Get out of
Thanks.
here,
I
Random House.
appreciate that.
Get out. Did you hear how their whole merger drama?
Oh my God, yes. What
Yeah.
drama. Oh,
It
oof, oof,
huh?
oof.
Huh?
It's a lot of drama.
Yeah, no, I that literary agent Mark, whenever he was on here, we were talking about that. It's like kind of a not good thing.
Oh, it was no, it's not good.
It's
It's
a
all not good.
what did he say? It's like it's the literary equivalent to the Johnny Depp case,
Oh, yeah, it's really ugly. It's
except
hard
for
to
Johnny
watch
Depp.
and listen to. Yeah.
But it's I find it fascinating all these things that are going around in the literary world. Like just
I
all like
mean,
just like how there'll be like a story like that that just kind of breaks out. Or there'll
mhm.
be like some author drama or just something stupid.
It could be a full-time job just staying on Twitter and keeping up with the bookish drama. Like
I
if you if you wanted to, you could just like, oh, take up all your time.
is there a way to like because I know you know about hashtags and the cool kid thing I'm still learning. I have my one hashtag I use.
Uh,
But like is there a way to see all that? Like is there a bookish news or book news or anything like that?
I don't know. Like on Twitter, you mean? I
Yeah.
don't know.
Like I could
I
talk about that.
I see like book tweet a lot,
Book
but
tweet.
book TWT, but
How much
I don't I don't know that that's like the same exact thing.
Yeah,
But
I'm always looking like some new segment. Like, what could I do? I don't know about you, but like, whenever it comes to making content, are you an under or like an over creator?
oh, oof, I don't know. I think that well, if I'm putting you as an over creator, which I'm guessing you
Yeah,
are.
I jump into it and I like have to rein myself back. Like when it comes to like videos, I'm like, you know what I could do if I just put out like a video every day, I bet that'll do great. Just like screw sleep. Like I'll be doing it at like 11 o'clock at night. I'm like, all right, if I don't sleep if I just sacrifice 1 hour of sleep, I can do really good.
Oh my gosh.
Uh,
That's so funny. I think like I don't know. I'm somewhere in the middle.
mm,
I tried to balance out my content creation with like my community interactions. Like for me, like I need to put out the content and then like interact with people about
do what?
it. I
I'm
know, I
sorry,
know.
Tara, you said something. I didn't quite catch that. Enter what with
Just
them?
ignore that. Just ignore that. It's not important. Uh,
Oh,
yeah.
I gotta get better. I gotta follow in your footsteps more.
Well, I think you have said that you're an introvert. Is that correct?
No, it's not. I've said I get laughed at when I say I'm an introvert. That's how that works. Like at heart, I'm like, yeah, I'm an introvert. And everyone around me is like, no, you're
Are
not.
you though?
I'm really. Like I am the person at my office who will just like go start chatting with you. Like
Yeah.
I actually know people's names. I bonded with my bosses and coworkers by playing
Yeah.
chess.
Oh,
Um,
how
yeah,
nice.
yeah, it's fun. We have a great time. But like, I am an extrovert, and I was a tutor for a while, and that's what got me out of my shell.
Mm-mm.
Are
See,
you an
and that's
introvert or extrovert?
no, I am also an extrovert, and that's what I was gonna say. Like, I love people, and so like part of the appeal of having like this audience to me is that I get all these friends to talk with like all the
That's actually
time.
very true. I have fun with that, like that.
So I love that. That's like my favorite part about it. So for
I
me,
actually
like
have
if
to
I
talk to these
didn't
people.
do the comments, like if I didn't interact with people, I would be like so sad.
Oh,
I would just be like, oh, where did my friends go?
friends. I
I
I
know I
love
would
it though when I
that
do get
feeling.
like a bunch of comments. Like that is like one of
Yeah.
my favorite things.
Yeah.
Is I just
Yeah.
look at them, smile.
I
I'm never
really
gonna
feel
talk to you people.
like that's terrible. I feel so guilty though, because like when if things do go super, if they get super big, like there are just so many comments. I can't possibly, there is no way that I could respond to every comment that I got every day. And
Yeah,
that
you see,
makes
I
me
I think that
feel
right
so
now with like
bad.
seeing you responding to comments. Like I'll look through your comments, it'll be like you like 30 replies.
I know
Like,
it's
Tara, I replied to like 3 of these, and 2 of them were your comments, and I already
I
feel
I know. I want to talk to them, They're my
friends.
buds. Well, see, this is probably part of the problem too, is that since I was so used to talking to people all day long,
Yeah.
every day, like working in a school, that like now being home by my like alone, I'm like, oh my God, I have to talk to you people and get all my extrovert stuff. Like it'll
Like
just,
you gather my only outlet for this
I
right now.
know.
Well, that's what it was during like COVID, because it was
Yeah.
like, actually it's pretty funny. I'll get to like with the group. Then I'll be like, if you want to just, communicate with people in your group and stuff. I'm like, communicate with them. I I used to imagine myself as like this mysterious overlord dropping tweets.
Oh,
Like the
uh,
Voldemort of book Twitter with a
oh my
nose.
God, this is terrible. We've gone so bad.
I need to get like a dark cloak.
Oh, this is awful. Oh.
But no, God, okay, so for my final question, I gotta get heading out here, but what is kind of like your biggest tip for going viral?
Honestly, like what we were kind of talking about earlier, and sharing to different groups. I think that is, I know that's not like native to Twitter viral, but like on Facebook, like if you are sharing to the different groups, that is the best way to get your stuff noticed and picked up. I don't like, do you know the writing account, Writing About Writing?
They share my stuff all the time now.
Yes,
I
they
love them. Thank you so much.
they have like well over 1 million followers.
Mhm.
And they are in a lot of those groups, like, and when they
Really?
see stuff like that they want shared, or like people will send them stuff from those groups. Uh and that's a great way to get
Hmm.
yourself shared by that. And those are your people, writers, like over 1 million people who are just
Yeah,
interested in writing. Well, that's exactly like your alley, who you want. So I think that's the best advice probably that
mhm,
I could give. Other than,
that's awesome.
commenting with your followers, Alex. I think that's really important.
What? That's honestly, that is my favorite saying. I really like getting, nice messages and not weird messages. And I like
Mhm.
if you send me a legit message that's not just like, "Hi, how are you?" or just a hi, I'll probably respond to you. Um,
Mhm.
that and yeah, seeing reshares. Like those are like my
Yeah.
2 kind of big motivators. Like, uh,
See, you feel about like DMs the way that I feel about comments.
mhm.
Like, oh, they're commenting. I want to interact with them. I see DMs and I want to run away. So,
Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
oh, of course, it was such a pleasure.